Hey y'all, it's Jen and welcome to my channel Ifers Inklings. This is Taylor Tag Tuesday. Yay! We are here with another Taylor Swift inspired book tag. This one is going to be the Lover tag, and it is originally by Allison Aldridge, which I will leave her channel linked below. Now, let's get into these tag questions. Song number one is I Forgot That You Existed. This is a character that you would love to forget or wish didn't exist. And I couldn't think of any that I just wish didn't exist or that I would love to forget. I think that even the bad characters are integral to the story most of the time. And I couldn't think of any that I felt could have been done away with and still left the story that made sense, you know, that didn't play an integral part of a story. So I don't have an answer for you there. Sorry. Song number two is Cruel Summer. What is your favorite summer romance book? And for that, I'm going to go with a young adult novel, Wanderlost, and by Jen Malone. This is a cute little contemporary romance that takes place mostly in England. The main character here in this book takes her sister's place on a tour of England. It's a senior trip, as in senior citizens, that she is supposed to take across the different places across Europe on a bus tour and tell them about, kind of be their guide. She loses the binder her sister gives her, giving her all of the instructions, and so she's just kind of winging it. The main character here, which I can't think of her name, she has never been outside of her small town, had no desire to travel the world, and finds herself trekking across Europe. And then the boy that she meets is the son of the travel company owner, and our main character is pretending to be her sister. And of course, obviously things go wrong there. We'll just leave it at that. But I found this to be really cute, really enjoyable, and I really enjoyed the writing and how the story unfolded. Of course, there's some problem areas, miscommunication, the whole lying thing, you know, all of that is wrong and problematic and all that, but that's kind of integral to the story, and I really enjoyed it. Song number three is Lover. Who is your favorite OTP romance? Now, again, I am not much on OTPs. I love every romance couple that we kind of meet in the books. That they're the whole point of a romance book. One OTP meaning one true pair, but so that I can give you an answer, I'm going to say that the romance in You Should See Me in a Crown is probably one of my favorites. I adored the couple in there, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, because them getting to know each other and finding each other and kind of their relationship developing is really cute and really special, and I think you should enjoy it without being spoiled for it. Song number four is The Man, and this is your favorite strong female lead. And for that, I'm gonna go with Kaya in Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Kaya starts out as a 7-year-old who is abandoned by her family in the marshlands. Literally, everyone in her family leaves her and leaves Kaya there to fend for herself at about 7 years old. And so we see Kaya's journey all the way through her death, and how she supports herself, and she makes a name for herself and a living for herself, and kind of develops into a self-sustaining woman, and the struggles that she goes through. I love this story. It's one of my favorites. And Kaya definitely embodies that strong female person. Song number 5 is The Archer. A fantasy world you would be willing to live in. And for me, that would be The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This little fantasy world is just so adorable. The misfit kids, the powers that they have, the fairies, the devil, the little monster thing. I mean, I just want to go live on that little island in the Cerulean Sea and be a part of that world. Song number 6 is I Think He Knows. Your most loved book on your bookshelf. Now, this is one that's going to be a little bit different as far as most loved. This has special sentimental reasons behind it, and that is this particular copy of Peter Pan. My friend Shell painted this for me, and she did an amazing job. This is obviously the book Peter Pan, and her sister helped pick out the design that she painted, the Peter and Wendy here. I'm sorry, Peter and Tinkerbell here, and shortly after, after I received this book in the mail, about the same time that I received the news that Krista had passed away, and so this book definitely holds some special meaning to me. The two of my favorite people were involved in this particular book, and Peter Pan is my favorite childhood classic. So again, this is my favorite, most prized possession on my bookshelf. Song number 7, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. The prompt for that is your favorite forbidden romance. And this question has come up in several of these tags, and I'm running out of forbidden romances, honestly. But what I picked for this one is Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. The two love interests in here, Leah and Ethan, are forbidden to have any contact. Leah is a witch, and Ethan is, I guess, immortal. I don't know, but they are drawn together, and both families are trying to keep them apart because, again, Leah's a witch. This takes place in Gatlin, I think it's Tennessee. Gatlin. I don't know. Small southern town, and it is, you know, superstition, and the locals are not very forgiving or open-minded. Leah's family has always been kind of outcast because people think they're weird because they think they're witches, and well, of course they are. But yeah, it just this is a cute forbidden romance. I really liked this series a lot. It's kind of cheesy and corny and all that, but it's a YA paranormal contemporary romance. I think lots of different genres, but it was fun and I really enjoyed it. Song number 8 is Paper Rings, and this is one of my favorite songs off of this album. And the prompt for that is a book lover you would marry. And I'm gonna have to go with Zaf from Take a Hint, Danny Brown. He is just so sweet and considerate and kind, and just so so receptive and attentive. You know, he pays attention to the way Danny takes her, not Danny, yeah, the way Danny takes her tea and the food that she likes and makes sure she eats, because he knows that she gets involved in her work and everything else and doesn't pay attention to anything else, and he makes sure she gets some sleep because she's always working, and just little things like that. Just so sweet and so attentive and so caring and kind and protective without being overbearing. I just adored Zaf. Song number 9 is Cornelia Street, a book set in a place you would love to visit or love visiting. And for me, I'm gonna go with Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This is a YA contemporary book. This is set in Greece. And I want to visit Greece. I want to visit any place in Europe, really, but this is Greece and I want to visit there. This is a kind of a hard-hitting contemporary that has a little bit of a romance at the end. Our main character in here finds out her mother passes away and she has to go live with her father that she's never met or never known about in Greece. And he lives in a cemetery because he's the overseer of the cemetery. And there's some twists in here. Was interesting, and I just really love the way this is written. I've read all of the books in this series so far. They're all companion novels, and I just loved every single one of them, but definitely would like to visit Greece. Song number 10 is Death by a Thousand Cuts. This is a book that made you into a puddle of mush. And that is going to be Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. This book, the subject matter in reading at the time I did probably had a lot to do with it. The main character in here loses her brother, this was I read this a couple years after I'd lost my sister, and it just kind of the whole relating to a character who has lost a sibling was something I was needing at the time. It was kind of cathartic and kind of healing to let me just cry it out. But the concept behind this also is the childhood best friend of their family, of the main character. His family owned a used bookstore, and one of the shelves on it is a book. One of the bookshelves in the bookstore that they owned was ones that you could borrow and bring back, and you could write in it and make notes and write letters to each other and so on and so forth. And I just really enjoyed that concept, and I think that's all I'm going to say about this. But this one, I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Song number 11 is London Boy, and that is your favorite British character. Honestly, I don't have a favorite British character. I know I've read a lot of books with British characters, but I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. And the only one that's coming to mind is Bridget Jones. So maybe we'll go with Bridget Jones from Bridget Jones's Diary. Song number 12 is Soon You'll Get Better, and this is your favorite book that deals with a sickness, either mental or physical. And for that, I have All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This book deals with bipolar disorder and depression, and I think that it deals with both of those aspects very, very well. It really shows the bipolar side especially well from the manic phases and the depressive phases. Bipolar disorder, I don't think a lot of people realize how much of a swing there is, and the manic phases, even though you're happy and bubbly and on top of the world, it seems like those are probably still some of the most detrimental parts of bipolar disorder, even more so than I think the depression side. And the swing between the two, especially if you are undiagnosed, and unmedicated and it goes untreated, it can be really devastating. There is suicide in this book, and that is something you probably need to be aware of going into it, if that is some content that you need to prepare yourself for. Song number 13 is False God, and this is the sexiest romance you have read. That would be The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wong. This book follows an adult autistic character who thinks that she is bad at sex. So she hires a, what do you call them? Escort. She hires a male escort to teach her how to have sex. And we get down to the nitty-gritty in the first couple of pages. I think chapter 2 is when we have our first sex scene in here, and it is intense. And it just, all of them, the whole book, definitely this, there is an actual storyline to this, and it was really good as well. But this is one of the sexiest books I've ever read. Song number 14 is You Need to Calm Down. This is a book that you fangirl about like no other when it's mentioned. There could be a couple of these that I fangirl about, and I don't, but I've mentioned them in the past already in this tag and the others. But so for this one, I'm gonna go with Flowers for Algernon, and it is just a gut-wrenching story. It is sad, it is hopeful, it is angerful, it is all of the emotions that you can think of. You go through that book, you go through with that book, and I think it is one that everybody should read. It should be taught in schools. Everyone should have to read this, and I know a lot of schools do have it as required reading. My school did not, and it should have been. So in this book, Flowers for Algernon, there is a mentally challenged, disabled individual who is given this drug to manipulate his mental, to manipulate his mental capacity. Is that the right word? I don't know that that's the right word I'm looking for. But it works. He goes from being severely mentally disabled to being severely mentally intelligent. So he is considered like a genius, on even more genius than geniuses almost. But it doesn't last. And so you go through this whole range of emotions, you know, and how the world sees those that have mental capacity that isn't on the level that they think it should be, and how there's lack of compassion, and how, you know, and then how the world treats those people that have above average intelligence. And it just, the whole book is just really one that makes you think, and one that is very eye-opening and will stick with you forever. The very last line of the book is devastating. It's devastating. And I think everyone should read it. Song number 15 is The Afterglow. And this is your favorite villain that you can't help but love. And that, for me, is Mia from The Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. She is definitely a villain. She's a murderer, but she has such a heart of gold at the same time. It's almost like, instead of being really evil, she's more morally gray. Morally almost gray, maybe. She's definitely falls in the evil category some too, but not completely. And yeah. So, Mia. Song number 16 is Me, a character you would want to play in the movie or TV adaptation. And for me, I would want to play Nora from The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I think that her character would be one that I could easily play and relate to, and that would be who I would want to play in a movie. Song number 17 is It's Nice to Have a Friend. What is your favorite Friends to Lovers book couple? And for me, that's going to be the couple in We Are Still Tornadoes by Michael Kuhn and Susan Mullen. These are two high school best friends who go off to college and still maintain letters from each other, but they're both deeply in love with each other, even though they are trying to stay separate and think of themselves as just friends because they don't want to ruin their friendship. And our final song, song number 18, is Daylight, a book that left a lasting impression on you or you couldn't stop thinking about after you were finished. And of course, I've talked about many books already here that would fall into that category: House of the Cerulean Sea, Flowers for Algernon. But the one that I want to talk about right now is The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. This book I read in the early 2000s and it has stuck with me ever since. It's one of my favorite novels. It's just one of those books that make you really stop and think about how the decisions that we make, even as individuals, have a rippling effect on the world around us. It affects our family, it affects our friends, it can affect our communities, and I mean ultimately the country and the world at large. The basis of this story is that our main characters are Baptist preacher family from Georgia who go over to Congo to convert the natives, and through this we see the difference between the family in Georgia and then when they're leaving Georgia and then when they get to the Congo and the life that they live in the two different places, and how the people of the community in the Congolese impact them and what they take with them, and then how they leave an impact on the little community in the Congo that they go to minister to. I highly recommend reading this book. It, like I said, it has a lot of elements of religion in it, but it's not a preachy book, if that makes any kind of sense. Even though religion is one of the central storylines, it's more about how damaging that is for the white people to go over to Africa to convert the African people. So, like I said, it's had a very lasting impact on me for the last almost 20 years. And that's it. That's my Taylor Tag Tuesday for the Lover Tag. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books that I've talked about. Let me know if you're going to read any of them. And also let me know how you would answer some of these questions that relate to these songs on the Taylor Swift Lover album. Now, if you've enjoyed this tag, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down button, that's fine. That just lets me know if you what kind of content of mine you enjoy and that you want to see in the future. What you're going to find on the screen now is a playlist to my past tag videos and also a video that YouTube thinks you would enjoy of mine. Be sure and check it out and let me know if you enjoyed it. And until next time, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you later. Bye.